If you are watching this, it's likely because you love someone, a parent, a grandparent, a cherished spouse or friend, and you've started to notice things, quiet shifts, changes so subtle you almost convince yourself you're imagining them. You are not imagining them. The end of a long life rarely arrives like a sudden storm. It approaches like a slow, quiet tide that you don't notice is rising until your feet are wet. And the greatest tragedy is not the goodbye itself, but the goodbyes we miss our chance to say because we didn't recognize the signs. What you are about to hear is not about fear. It is about opening your eyes with love before it's too late. Hello, my dear friends, and a very warm welcome to Elderflowerings. I am so grateful you've chosen to be here for what is one of the most important and most tender conversations we can have. We're going to explore the wisdom gathered from those who walk beside our elders in their final season of life. The hospice professionals, the caregivers, the loving families, to understand the journey with more clarity and compassion. Before we delve deeper, it is absolutely crucial to state this with my whole heart. This video is created for informational and supportive purposes only. The signs we are about to discuss are not a definitive medical checklist or a predictor of a specific timeline. Life is a sacred mystery, and many of these signs can be caused by other treatable conditions. If you observe any significant changes in an elderly loved one, your first and most important action should always be to consult with their healthcare professionals for a proper assessment. They are the only ones qualified to offer a medical diagnosis. Our purpose today is different. It is to help you prepare emotionally and practically. We will sensitively explore 6 profound signs that may appear in the year leading up to an elderly person's passing. Recognizing these signs doesn't hasten the inevitable, but it can empower you to provide more attuned care, to cherish moments with greater awareness, and most importantly, to help ensure your loved one's final stage of life is filled with as much comfort, dignity, and peace as possible. This is a conversation that requires courage, and I honor you for being here. If you believe in the importance of these honest, heartfelt discussions, please support our community by taking a moment to like this video and subscribe to Elderflowerings. Your support allows us to continue creating this vital content, ensuring no one has to navigate these sacred paths alone. Now, let us begin. 6 signs an elder is in their final year of life. What hospice professionals want you to know. Sign number 1, a gentle withdrawal and the turn inward. The first sign that hospice professionals often notice long before any significant physical decline becomes obvious is not physical at all. It is a quiet, gradual, and deeply profound emotional and social withdrawal. It's the spirit beginning to turn its gaze inward. You might observe that a loved one who once lit up a room with their stories or was the vibrant center of family gatherings becomes more quiet, more content to simply observe rather than actively participate. This isn't necessarily the same as a clinical depression, which often comes with agitation or deep sadness. This withdrawal can be accompanied by a new, almost serene sense of peace. It's as if their soul is beginning the slow, sacred process of detaching from the intricate and often noisy demands of the external world. It can manifest in subtle ways. They may not initiate phone calls as often. They might begin to politely decline invitations to social events, saying simply, "Oh, I think I'll just stay home today, dear." This can be incredibly painful for families who may interpret it as a rejection. But what those who work in end-of-life care often explain is that this is an instinctive conservation of precious emotional and spiritual energy. As the body prepares for its ultimate transition, there's a natural pulling back from the complexities of everyday social life. It's as if they are quietly getting used to the idea of not being here, making peace with the world from a gentle distance. I am reminded of my own grandfather in his final year. A man who loved a boisterous family dinner, he started asking to have his meal on a tray in his quiet study. He who never missed watching his favorite baseball games with us began to say, "You all go ahead, I think I'll just rest my eyes." At the time, we thought he was just tired. Looking back, I understand it was something more. He was beginning his goodbye, not with words, but with a quiet retreat into the peaceful sanctuary of his own spirit. If you notice this gentle withdrawal, try not to take it personally. See it as an invitation to learn a new way of being with them, a quieter, more present, less demanding form of connection. Sign number 2, a shift in conversation to the past and the journey ahead. The second profound sign manifests in the very words they choose and the stories they tell. As a person nears the end of their life's journey, their conversations often shift focus in two very distinct and meaningful directions, more deeply into the distant past and, metaphorically, towards a future journey. You'll notice they speak less and less about immediate future plans with any real enthusiasm. If you bring up an upcoming holiday or a birthday 6 months away, instead of lighting up, they might offer a gentle, non-committal smile and say something like, "Well, that sounds lovely, dear. We'll see." They aren't trying to be morbid. It's simply that their internal timeline is recalibrating. Their focus is no longer on a future they instinctively feel they may not be a part of. Instead, their conversations become rich with reminiscence. They begin talking more about their childhood, their parents, their first love, old friends long gone. This is more than just nostalgia. It's a vital psychological process known as life review. It's as if they are mentally and spiritually flipping through the final pages of their own life story, re-examining the moments, understanding the narrative, and making a quiet peace with who they have been. Pay close attention during these moments. The stories they choose to tell are often the ones that hold the most meaning. Then there's the other, more mysterious shift in language. They start talking about traveling. A wise hospice nurse once explained to me, it's not about trips they want to take. It's about a journey they feel they are about to take. She said that patients, regardless of their religious beliefs, will often begin to use this metaphor. They might say, "I need to get my things packed soon," or "I feel like I'm going on a long trip." One gentleman kept asking her if the train was running late, saying his father was waiting for him at the station. It's as if something deep within the human spirit knows it is preparing to depart, not just from the room, but on a journey to somewhere else. I sat there stunned as she told me this because I vividly remembered my own great aunt telling my mother one evening, her voice calm and clear, "I think the boat will be coming for me soon." She passed away peacefully just 3 weeks later. At the time, we dismissed it as confusion. Now I understand it as something far more profound. If you hear your loved one speaking in these terms, listen with an open heart. They may be communicating a deep, intuitive truth in the only language they can find. This shift in language is so often missed or misunderstood. Has someone you've known ever spoken in this way? In a manner that didn't make sense at the time, but perhaps does now in hindsight? Your story, if you feel comfortable sharing it, could bring immense comfort and understanding to someone else going through this right now. If this conversation is bringing you value, I gently remind you to like and subscribe so we can continue to create this supportive space together. Now, let's continue to the next sign. Sign number 3, the quiet act of letting go, giving away meaningful possessions. The third sign is one of the most tender and tangible indications that a person may be preparing for their final goodbye. they start giving things away. This is not the same as the practical, organized downsizing we've discussed in other videos. This is different. This is not about cleaning house. This is a quiet, heartfelt, and deeply symbolic act of legacy and love. It often begins with small, seemingly random objects, each imbued with a story. A favorite book, a piece of jewelry, an old photograph, a tool from their workshop. They might hand it to you and say, with a soft, meaningful gaze, "I want you to have this." In that moment, what they are truly doing is entrusting you with a part of their story, a fragment of their life, a tangible piece of their love that they want to ensure lives on. I once heard a story about a woman in her early 80s who gave her grandson a dusty old toolbox. He thought it was just junk, but she told him, "This belonged to your great-grandfather. He built our first family home with it. I want you to fix things with care the way he did." A week later, she was gone. It was never about the objects themselves. It was about the legacy, the values, the message they were trying to pass on. This hit me with such force because I realized my own father did the same thing. Months before his passing, he sat me down, took off his simple wristwatch, the one he had worn every day of my life, and handed it to me. He just said, "Here, keep it running." At the time, I didn't grasp the full weight of the moment. Now I understand so clearly. It was his quiet, beautiful way of telling me that time was precious and that my time would and should keep going, even if his was coming to an end. So, if an elderly person you love has recently been offering you old letters, forgotten mementos, or little personal treasures, please do not brush it off. Receive the object with reverence. Sit with them. Ask them about the story behind it. "Tell me about this watch, Dad." "What does this brooch mean to you, Grandma?" You are not just receiving an object. You may be receiving their way of saying goodbye, their way of entrusting their memory to you. Hold it with care. You might be holding one of the final, most important messages of their heart. Sign number 4. The body's changing rhythms. Eating less, sleeping more. As the body begins its final, profound process of slowing down, some of the most visible signs manifest in our most basic daily rhythms, eating and sleeping. A significant and sustained decrease in appetite, often accompanied by a substantial increase in the need for sleep, is a powerful indication that the body is beginning to conserve its energy for the journey ahead. This is not something they typically announce. The change in eating habits is often one of the first things families notice. A loved one who once had a hearty appetite might begin pushing their plate away after only a few bites, saying simply, "I'm just not very hungry today." Favorite foods may now sit untouched. This is rarely just about the food. It's a deep, physiological shift. As the body's systems begin to conserve energy for essential functions, the digestive system naturally slows down. The body no longer processes food with the same efficiency, and the brain no longer sends out strong hunger signals. Forcing food upon them at this stage can often cause physical discomfort. Simultaneously, you will likely notice a dramatic increase in their need for sleep. They might begin dozing off in their chair mid-conversation. They may start taking long, deep naps during the day and still seem tired. This profound tiredness is a reflection of the body diligently conserving its remaining energy. Instead of primarily fueling movement and external activity, the body shifts its resources towards its final, most important work. Their body starts sending other quiet signals. They might complain of a sudden chill that a blanket can't seem to warm, a result of weakened circulation. They might experience a fleeting shortness of breath when simply getting out of bed. And yet, through it all, they will often insist, "I'm fine, dear. Don't you worry about me." Because they often seek to protect their loved ones from worry. The key for us as caregivers and family is to shift our focus from fixing to comforting. Instead of pushing for one more bite of food, perhaps offer a small portion of a beloved comfort food or simply a soothing cup of tea. Instead of trying to keep them awake, allow them the deep restorative rest their body is clearly calling for. When you see these physical rhythms changing, understand that it's the body's wisdom at work. Sign number 5, the veil thins, seeing or sensing loved ones who have passed. This next sign is perhaps one of the most mysterious and profound. As a person nears the end of their life, they may start seeing, speaking to, or sensing the presence of loved ones who have already passed away. A hospice nurse with decades of experience once shared with me, it happens more often than you'd think. They'll glance toward an empty corner and a gentle smile will light up their face. Or they'll begin talking softly as if someone is there, someone you can't see. And she added, almost always it's someone they loved dearly, a spouse, a parent, a sibling. This can be unsettling for families at first, who may worry about hallucinations or confusion. But what is remarkable is that for the person experiencing it, it is almost never frightening. It is reassuring. It is comforting. It's as if they're being gently reminded that they won't be making this final journey entirely alone. The nurse told me about a patient who said, "My mother has been sitting in that chair all morning, waiting for me." The peace on his face was absolute. This experience, often called an end-of-life vision, is not necessarily a sign of delirium. It's viewed by many end-of-life professionals as a deeply spiritual and normal part of the dying process. It's as if the veil between worlds becomes thinner and the soul begins to recognize those who have gone before. When my own dear mother was in her final days, she looked right past me, her eyes focusing on a point in the room, and said with a small, joyful gasp, "Dad?" Her own father had passed away when she was just a child, but her face in that moment was filled with pure recognition and joy. Now I understand what she may have been trying to tell us. If you are privileged enough to witness this, try to approach it with openness and peace. Instead of correcting them, "There's no one there, Mom," you might ask gently, "Oh, what are they saying?" Or simply sit with them, allowing them their comforting reality. It may be a sacred experience you are being invited to share. Sign number 6, the final gift, a sudden, unexpected rally of energy and clarity. Our final sign is beautiful, poignant, and often the most confusing for families. It's a phenomenon sometimes known as the rally or terminal lucidity. This is when a person who has been weak, withdrawn, perhaps barely speaking or eating for weeks, suddenly wakes up. They'll sit up in bed, their eyes clear and bright. They'll ask for their favorite meal with a surprising appetite. They'll want to talk, to share stories, to laugh. They'll call old friends. They'll say things like, I feel really good today, better than I have in a long time." For the family, this moment can feel like a miracle, a sign of a turnaround, a reason for immense hope. But what those wise end-of-life guides gently explain is that most of the time, this is not a recovery. It is a final, beautiful, mysterious gift. It is one last, powerful surge of life force before the end. No one in medical science knows exactly why it happens. Some theorize it's a final surge of stress hormones. Others see it as something more spiritual, the soul taking one last, loving look at the world and the people it holds dear before it departs. A hospice nurse shared a story of a little girl who had been battling a long illness. She hadn't smiled in weeks. Then one afternoon, she asked to go outside, and she danced barefoot in the grass for just a few precious minutes, a look of pure joy on her face. Then she turned to her mom and said, "I'm ready now." She passed peacefully that night. Dying isn't always about fading away. Sometimes it is about one last magnificent bloom, a final burst of love that leaves an indelible, beautiful memory. If you are blessed to witness such a rally in someone you love, cherish it for the sacred gift that it is. Don't build false hope for recovery, but rather fully embrace this moment of connection, clarity, and grace. A final, crucial insight: how to be present in these sacred moments. As we bring all these powerful signs together, the one question that remains, the one that sits most heavily on our hearts is, what should I do when I start to see these signs? What is the right way to be? What is the right way to say goodbye? The wisdom from those who have spent their lives in hospice care is remarkably simple, yet profoundly difficult in its practice. They say you don't need the perfect words. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to fix anything. You just need to be present, fully, truly, openly, and lovingly present. If someone you love is starting to let go of this world, don't try to pull them back with frantic energy. Don't fill the precious, quiet spaces with unnecessary noise or anxious chatter. Just be there. Sit with them in the quiet. Hold their hand. Listen more than you speak. And when you do speak, say the real things. What are the real things? Tell them what they have meant to you. Tell them a specific memory that you will cherish forever. Tell them what you learned from them, how they shaped the person you are today. Say the words of love, of gratitude, of forgiveness that you might have kept tucked away in your heart. Say them now while you still can. A daughter who sat beside her dying, estranged father and whispered, "I forgive you," gave them both a final gift of peace, even though he couldn't reply. This is not about fixing the past. It's about freeing the present. So if someone you love is showing these signs, please don't ignore it. See it as the sacred invitation it is. Sit with them. Tell them their life mattered. And most of all, don't let your own fear make you miss your chance to say goodbye with grace. The families who struggle most with grief are often the ones who left too much unsaid. Let this knowledge be not a source of sadness, but a catalyst for connection. Thank you for joining me on Elderflowerings for this very tender discussion. It's an honor to share this space with you. If you feel comfortable, please leave a comment below and share the name of someone you are holding in your heart today, so we as a community can honor them with you. If you found this video helpful and meaningful, please consider giving it a like, subscribing to Elderflowerings, and sharing it with others who might benefit from this understanding. Your support enables us to create content designed to inform, inspire, and bring comfort. Until we meet again, may you find strength and love and peace and presence.